Like what you see here? Then be sure to subscribe to Jaguar Gator 8, a channel devoted to the history of college football. New videos drop twice a week. Click the card in the upper right corner or the link in the description to subscribe now. And now, on with our feature presentation. April 12, 2023. We're down at the Trop for this AL East battle between the Tampa Bay Rays and the Boston Red Sox. And even though this is a mid-April game, it's not hyperbolic in the slightest bit to say that the baseball world has its eyes glued to this battle. Sure, a win for the Red Sox would be nice for them, seeing as they've lost the first 2 games of this 4-game series, and a loss here would ensure that they leave Tampa with a series defeat. However, for the Rays, they sit at 11-0 and are looking to set the record for most consecutive wins to start off a season, as in the Major League Baseball era, only the 1982 Atlanta Braves and the 1987 Milwaukee Brewers had more wins to start a season off than Tampa, with both of those teams going 13-0. Win this game, and not only do you pass the 1981 Athletics for sole possession of 3rd place in that category, but you're 1 game shy of making history and etching your name in the record books forever. And so far, things are going great for Tampa. They lead 3-0 after the first inning, following a 3-run home run, and lead at 6-1 after 4, following a Wander Franco double into center field. With the Rays holding on to a 5-run lead after 5 innings, this one is looking promising. However, to Boston's credit, they come soaring back, scoring 1 run in the 6th on a ground-out RBI, and 3 runs in the 7th after a 3-run home run by Rafael Devers. What was once looking like a formality for the Rays is looking like anything but, as entering the 8th inning, they were only leading it by 1, leading it 8-7. And while the Rays got an insurance run in the 8th to make it 9-7, this one was not over by any means. Boston's down to their final 3 outs, but having them get 2 runs, especially since they've scored in 4 of their last 5 innings, is not impossible at all. First up for the Red Sox in the top of the 9th, and catcher Reese McGuire hits a single into right field. Alright, perfect start. Tying run is at the plate. Now up to bat is the second baseman, Yu Chang. It's been a rough season for him thus far. He's 0 for 9 entering this at-bat, and is 0 for 3 thus far in the game with a strikeout. Bit surprised you're not pinch hitting for him here, but okay. Now would be a great time to get your first hit and to get on base. Now would be a great time to, why are you showing bunt? I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Why are you trying to bunt the runner over? Why are you trying to bunt?
And now there's the bunt, third base side. Walls will throw him out.
Welcome to Dumb Decisions. Before I break down what happened here, this whole series is about taking an in-depth look at decisions made by managers and coaches during games that were clearly awful from the start. This isn't something you look bad in hindsight. Rather, this is something you look awful almost immediately. These are moves where your gut instinct tells you right away that there's no way this can possibly work. And sure enough, your gut instinct was smarter than that of an MLB manager or coach. And for this one, we're taking a look at the mind of Boston Red Sox manager Alex Cora. Look, the Red Sox have gotten off to a rocky start, and I think that goes without saying. When you're getting swept by the Pittsburgh Pirates at home, that's when you know. The Sox, following this loss, were 5-7, and easily could have been 4-8 if in the second game of the season, with 2 outs in the 9th, Orioles left fielder Ryan McClanahan just catches the ball. That's not even a shoulda, woulda, coulda kind of thing where you're rewriting history. There were literally 2 outs in the 9th, and the Orioles were up by 1. So yeah, this season has not gone according to plan for the Red Sox. And a lot of that has to do with Cora, with this, somehow, being his worst decision of the season, and one of the worst times to call a sacrifice bunt that I've seen in quite some time. So with that being said, let's take a look at why Alex Cora's decision to have Yu Chang bunt the ball down by 2 in the 9th inning was a bad idea. And don't get me wrong, I love small ball. I absolutely believe in the power of moving the runner over, and a perfectly placed bunt is one of the most exciting plays in baseball. Believe me, I get it. If this was a one-run game, this isn't even a conversation. In my mind, this would have absolutely been the right call. But in a two-run game, it is absolutely moronic. Let's look at the best case and the worst case scenario in having Chang drop a sacrifice bunt, and the best case and worst case scenario in having him actually swing the bat. Starting with the bunt, his goal here is to move the runner over to second base. This play was drawn up as a sacrifice. It was designed, and he wasn't bunting for a hit, so the best case scenario is what wound up happening, as the sacrifice works and the runner moves over to second. Here's my question. So what? Why does that matter? You're down by 2 runs. The lead runner is completely irrelevant. You don't need to move runners into scoring position. You need people to get on base, period. The good news with a sacrifice is that pinch runner Connor Wong is 90 feet closer to home plate. But if he scores, guess what? You're still losing! You're still freaking losing! We don't care about Wong. We care about the tying run, which is the man currently at the plate. Wong can do whatever the heck he wants in the base paths. If you don't find a way to get one more man home, you're still losing this game. You need to get the tying run on base. And guess what? Having him do a sacrifice bunt is not only not going to get him on base, but is going to give you one less out to work with. This was the equivalent of a basketball team being down by 3 points with 2 seconds left and drawing up a play to get a layup. Like, that doesn't matter. You're focused on the wrong thing. You're focused on the wrong element of the score. You can't just be giving away outs like that in the top of the ninth. Which would you rather have down by 2? 1 man on and nobody out? Or 1 man on and 1 man out? Of course you're taking the first option. You'd be crazy not to take the first option. Which leads me to the best case and the worst case scenario of having Chang actually swing the bat. The best case scenario is that he gets on. And now, you've got 2 men on base and no one out. Now you actually have a tying run on base. At that point, if you want to call a sacrifice to get the runners to second and third with 1 out, and then a base hit into the outfield brings home both runners, I've got no problem with that. Heck, Chang could even tie the game up if he makes really good contact and takes advantage of a fastball down the middle, though I'm not getting my hopes up, considering he had no hits all season. If he gets out, then so what? Whether Wong is on first or second, you still only have 1 man on base, and you need 2. In other words, the worst case scenario with Chang hitting into an out or striking out is the same as the best case scenario with Chang dropping down a sacrifice bunt. Well, I shouldn't say that. Chang could hit into a double play. But if you're that concerned about Chang hitting into a double play, then here's a crazy thought. Pinch hit for him. Maybe it's not a good idea to have a guy in there in the top of the ninth who's 0 for 3, has hit 103 over his career for you, and dating back to 2022, he's 0 for his last 19. Not pinch hitting for him was dumb enough on its own, but then, to have so little confidence in him, and so little awareness of the situation at hand that you haven't bunt, is crazy. Either way, Alex Cora, you messed up badly. And after the game, naturally, Cora was asked about his highly controversial decision to have Yu Chang lay down a sacrifice bunt down by 2, knowing that the Red Sox needed base runners at this point, not necessarily 1 man in scoring position. Cora's answer? It was a good baseball play. Rays third baseman Taylor Walls just made a better baseball play. That kid can really play great defense. And yes, Walls made a good play. But good job, Cora. You completely missed the point. That's like if a football team is down by 4 with a minute left, and they line up for a field goal, and the kick gets blocked. And afterwards, you say that it was a great play by the defensive lineman to block the kick. It might have been, but that's not the point. The point is that you had no business kicking the field goal. You never should have called that play in the first place. You're grossly misunderstanding the situation. What the third baseman did here is irrelevant. There was nothing about this situation whatsoever that called for a sacrifice bunt. The point of a sacrifice is in the name. It's to sacrifice the man at the plate to move the runner closer to scoring. But sacrificing the man at the plate when you need the man at the plate to score in order to tie the game, and you only have a limited number of outs to do it, is just stupid on so many levels. So what do we learn from all of this? Don't bunt a man over when that man, in the grand scheme of things, is irrelevant. Know the situation and know what you need to do in order to tie it up. Know which runners are relevant in terms of their positioning, and which runners are not. And here's a crazy thought. If it's a 2-run game, it's the final inning, and you've got a man who's over his last 19 and can't buy a hit to save his life, maybe pinch hit for him and use literally anyone else. Because when you're over 19 and you're trying to debate whether to call a sacrifice bunt, I promise you, you can't possibly do any worse. Because when all these elements are in play, you can't exactly be surprised when this play backfires. Talk about a dumb decision. Get your official Jaguar Gear 9 merchandise by going to jj9shop.com, and be sure to like and subscribe, as it really helps the channel out a lot. Join me every Wednesday night where we'll play NFL Trivia for cash prizes at 9 p.m. Eastern over on Twitch. To learn more about the history of college football, subscribe to Jaguar Gator 8. To learn more about the history of Major League Baseball, subscribe to Jaguar Gator 7. Also, special thanks to all of our Patreon supporters for helping out the channel. Your support is greatly appreciated. See how you can become a patron and request future video topics in the description below.